Imagine running out of gas in a sundown town and you don't even know you're in a sundown town. Story time. For those of y'all who don't know what a sundown town is, let me go ahead and give you a little bit of background real quick. Sundown towns are towns that are majority white. They didn't start off that way, let's be clear. But black and brown people are not safe, not wanted, and not seen in sundown towns. On the lower end of the spectrum, they're not going to serve you. They're not going to acknowledge you. And you're going to get a lot of racial slurs and discrimination, especially at night. On the extreme high other end of the spectrum, you go out there and you don't make it back home. They exist all over the United States. They just don't like to talk about it. Oh yeah, TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes only. You'll find a lot of these towns in like the outskirts of whatever city you're living in. You may drive through these cities when you're doing road trips and you don't even know that it's a sundown town, but it is. So that brings me to my story. But me and a friend of mine, we were both dancers at the time, and she decides that she wants me to come and tag along with her at this private party. Now, if you've been following me for a minute, even before I started posting story times, I don't play about my money, okay? This was another one of those situations where, because it was her play, I let her handle the logistics of where we were going to be, the deposit, how much we were going to get paid at the party, you know, stuff like that. I can't pinpoint exactly where we were because it was so long ago, but I know that we were in the middle of Tallahassee and Georgia. Like, we were on that line. It took us at least an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 45 minutes, give or take, to actually get to this party. Now, usually when we would do private parties, especially if it's something that I'm putting together, I have everything to a T. So we had been planning for this trip maybe for 4 days. We already knew that we were going to go out there. She had already had the location. Now, granted, it was far. But sometimes when we do private parties, they are on the outskirts. So that's not normal, you know? So we're now on the way to this event. We basically chopping it up with each other. We probably going to stay about an hour if they not throwing no money. You know, the little, you know. We ended up leaving this side around like 8:30, 9 o'clock. Because we knew we wanted to get to the party at least by 11. That gets everybody time to get there. Our investor had a club out there. So everything was pretty much taken care of. And we were expecting at least 50 to 100 people to be at this club. Upon us getting there, y'all, it looks like nobody's there yet. Like, we getting dressed. We like, okay, maybe, you know, we on CP time. So we know they're going to be a little bit late. We just getting ourselves together and hoping that when we go out there, our crowd is there. I should have known something though, because this man didn't even have nowhere for us to get dressed and get ready. We had to get ready in his house. Basically, he had like a little hut, almost like a tiny home right next to the club. And the fact that we done got here is damn near 11 o'clock and it's not no people here yet. Like, y'all not even pre-gaming. That was definitely a red flag. And I already know what y'all thinking. You didn't see the scenery when y'all were on the way? No, because I was asleep. The plan was for her to drive there, I would drive back. We finally get dressed. We see people knocking on the door, trying to see us, whatnot. Y'all go inside the club. And we basically delegating to him that he needs to get them together in the club so we could just go out and do our thing. When we walked out of the little house that he had, into the club, y'all, it was nobody in there. It was probably about 5, maybe 6 people in there. Very janky, like they didn't have anything together. No drinks, no food. We came with the ones, but it was just like, what is this? And then he started telling us, yeah, we can't have the music too loud. We don't want to draw too much attention to ourselves. And I'm thinking, okay, that's normal. You know, we are kind of in the outskirts. I understand. But now that I think about it, I think he told us that for a whole totally different reason. So we get to dancing and everything, even though it's not that many people there. We like, let's just go ahead and start. And then when people start pulling up, they see what time it is. And they just start adding more fuel to the fire, more funds. Y'all, the little people that was there who was throwing money, they throwing like $10, $20 out of their pocket. Like, it's some BS. I ain't gonna lie. And then it's so janky that they starting to pick up the money that they're throwing, y'all. And now we done got into it with these people because what are you doing? That's not stripper etiquette. What are you doing? Like, literally picking the money up that they're throwing off of the floor, trying to throw it back on us, or just put it in a pocket. Once we started seeing that and we done got into it with these people, we finna go. Because at this point, like, We already by ourselves. We don't have no security. This man is not even advocating for us, and this is his fucking event. And I'm telling her, like, this will never be done again, because I would never, you know, she was always the type that tried to one-up me, but you can never. And that's what that situation was about. Like, I would never have us in no janky ass shit like this. So we basically pick up the little scrubs and we get the hell on. Now, y'all remember I told y'all the whole ride there, I'm asleep, because it's an hour and a half. I'm asleep the whole ride. Y'all, we finally get in the car after cussing this man out, get all of our stuff, and we heading back. Now, we probably about 20 minutes into the ride, and I look down, and I'm like, this girl didn't put no fucking gas in my car. None. And at this time, my car was still kind of brand new. I didn't know everything about my car. I have a hybrid. So I'm thinking, like, maybe it'll run off of, now that I'm running out of gas, because I don't have nothing on my gas. Maybe it'll run off of, you know, the hybrid side. Wrong. Y'all, we ended up running out of gas, breaking down at this little gas station. That was the best part about it. Now, we in the middle of nowhere at this point. Like, we can tell we are in a little city, but I don't know where. And it's like abandoned. Like, I'm so scared at this point. I'm looking around paranoid. We get to the door, y'all. The door is closed. It's locked. The shit ain't even it ain't even open yet. I don't know no gas stations that ain't open. You know, it was late. It probably was about 1 o'clock at this point. But some gas stations be open. Y'all, we went to the door. Do y'all know that these people didn't even open until 6 o'clock? Yeah, that's right. So we had to sit there and wait on somebody to get there. Whole time I got my little pew-pew with me, which I take with me everywhere. But I'm scared. I'm paranoid. I don't know where I am. My car is running out of gas. I mean, it's done at this point. And all I have is me, this stupid girl that didn't put no gas in my car. And I'm thinking, I'm praying so hard. Like, God, please, please, please don't let nobody come up and try to be weird with us. And I'm not even thinking sundown town. I'm thinking, I don't want nobody to try to harm us. I don't want nobody to try to take us. You know what I mean? Like, not even thinking about no sundown town at all. She falling asleep and whatnot. I cannot sleep because, listen, this is uncomfortable for me. So I'm telling her, you need to wake up. Y'all, we have been sitting out there for 3 hours. Now, they said they didn't open until 6, but somebody did eventually come around 4. When the lady get there, she's looking around. She's a white lady, like a hillbilly type. She's looking around. She kind of like trying to figure out, why is this car sitting there? So, y'all, we finally go in the store. We shop around, basically getting some snacks and stuff for the road. And now we getting ready to walk up to her. While we're checking out, she's like, what are you ladies doing around these parts? We let her know we had just came from an event. We're actually just passing through and we're on the way back home. This lady looked us, me specifically, dead in my soul and said, now, I'm going to tell you girls, y'all are beautiful young ladies. And, you know, I know that you guys are just passing through, but do you know where you are? I said, to be honest, no, I don't know where we are. Where are we? And she said it just like this. Well, be honest with you girls. You're not safe here, and you're lucky that I'm the one who opened up the store today. I wasn't even gonna come in to work today, but I decided I needed some extra money. She also told us, like, listen, don't stop nowhere else. After this, y'all ladies go straight home, because I would hate to see something bad happen to y'all. And so that's it for me. You don't gotta tell me nothing else, girl. Thank you, bye. Here go this stupid girl. Well, what you mean? What you mean? What happened to us? She said, I don't mean to be rude, but they don't like your kind out here. Now, I'm not like them, but you might want to go head home, honey. Never the fuck again. Looking back on the situation, I'm so thankful and so blessed to still be here. That just shows how protected and covered I am. I'm definitely telling my story to spread awareness, because we have truck drivers, we have people that are just passing through that have no clue and no idea. Be vigilant, pay attention, be on your P's and Q's at all times, because you never know. If you have a crazy, spooky, unbelievable story that you want to tell, but you want to remain anonymous, feel free to DM me, because I am now taking submissions, and I will see y'all later.
I don't know about you, but I love a good scary story, especially when it's about the Appalachian Mountains. A few days ago, I posted a Tea After Midnight story about the Appalachian Mountains, and you guys blew it up. And I just want to say thank you so much for every single person that's here. I'm so glad that you love this series just as much as I love making it. With that being said, I received another email about the Appalachian Mountains, and I thought it would be perfect to read to you guys tonight. I do want to say that this story has me super unsettled, so just a forewarning. But with that being said, grab your favorite tea and settle in while I tell you a scary story because, of course, this is Tea After Midnight. This story comes from Alicia. I have a very scary story that happened to me last year that I still can't seem to shake. My name is Alicia, and I am 32 female, and I also live in the Appalachian Mountains. I am no stranger to the rules that we as Appalachians tend to follow. I know some people think it's a joke or that it's just folklore, but I follow the rules to a T because I believe it saved me 1 or 2 times. To preface this story, I want to say that I had just gotten through a nasty divorce and we did not have any kids together, so I, of course, was living by myself after my ex-husband left. I do, however, have one cat named Tom and a dog named Jerry. Yes, just like the cartoon. Directly as I get home, I take Jerry outside so he can do his business. It was around 5 p.m. and the sun was getting close to setting. Jerry and I go back inside and I start my nightly routine, cleaning the house, doing dishes, cooking supper, etc. It was a normal night like any other, and after my dog had eaten, I took him outside to potty before he laid down for bed. To set the scene, it was fall and the wind was howling particularly loud this evening. Of course, it was pitch black, the only light coming from the front porch, but it truly made no real dent in that kind of darkness. Jerry sniffed around for a second before I noticed he whipped his head around to the tree line of the property. He kept trying to go over there, pulling me with him as he was attached to his leash. I told him no, we aren't going over there and to finish your business. He wouldn't go though. He kept staring, but he didn't seem to be scared or alarmed. Of course, I couldn't see anything, and honestly, I didn't want to. So I directed Jerry back into the house and he went straight to his little bed. I began pulling the living room curtain shut when at the window I heard a tap. I was absolutely terrified as there is nothing outside of this window that could have made that sound. I jerked open the curtain enough to see outside and I saw absolutely nothing. Freaked all the way out, I figured it was just a bug that had hit the window, being that it was pretty windy outside. I turned to go to my bedroom to go to sleep, and as soon as I took a step, I heard it again. This time it was louder, but just one single tap. I froze in place for a good 20 seconds, but turned around to check the window again. Nothing was there. At this point, I am thinking I'm paranoid. I laughed and I started to walk back to my bed. I laid down and my dog jumped up there with me and snuggled beside me. It comforted me, honestly, so I let him stay up there. I closed my eyes to try to go to sleep, but I heard a tap, tap, tap against my bedroom window. My bedroom is on the opposite side of the house from the living room, so this had me scared to death. I slid out of bed, crouched beside my bed, and just listened. The wind, of course, was still howling, which made this whole experience way worse. I heard the windows moaning from the pressure of the wind. My dog is perched up on the bed looking at the window where the tap came from. I didn't even bother looking out the window this time. I knew this wasn't my imagination. I was sitting in the floor, frozen, not really knowing what to do in this situation. While sitting there, probably for a minute or so, I then hear 3 loud knocks rapping against the front door of my porch. I grabbed my pew-pew on the bedside table and literally army crawled to the front door. I, of course, did not open it because I know the rules. Never open the door to a knock when someone isn't on the other side. The top half of my door is glass and there are blinds covering it, but when I'm on the floor, I can see through the blinds and, of course, no one was there. I started to really panic and fight or flight mode kicked in. I grabbed my keys, slipped on my shoes, and went through the door in my garage to get into my car. I locked the doors and pressed the garage opener and the door started to lift open. I backed out and literally whipped my car around facing the driveway to leave. My headlights were pointed directly at the tree line where Jerry was looking earlier in the night, and I kid you not, I see standing in the trees this tall, gray, lanky figure with long arms and fingers with glowing eyes. It was mostly in view except for the left side of it was covered by a big tree. As soon as I saw it, my heart stopped. It stood there for a few seconds before it stepped behind the tree. It not being in sight terrified me even more. I floored it out of my driveway and sped a few minutes down the road where my ex-in-laws lived. I called them, of course, waking them up, but honestly, I didn't care. I told them what happened, what I had just seen, and my ex-father-in-law, Kevin, said to pull up to the house and he would come with me. He jumped in and I told him in detail what I had seen. Pulling back up to the house, I shined the bright lights of my car on every inch of the woods that I could, and we saw nothing. They offered for me and the animals to stay with them that night, and I did. I was too scared to be alone. The next day I got back to the house and I went to the tree line where I saw it, and I peeked behind the tree that I saw it standing behind. I saw 3 large claw marks in the tree, and I immediately ran back to the house and locked myself in it. It's been 4 months since I saw the thing, and I can't get it out of my mind. I've not seen anything since that night, but if I hear the slightest tap or creak, my heart immediately stops with the thought, it's here. I do want to say that a couple days ago, I received this email. Literally the next day, I received another email from a guy who described seeing the exact same thing. Down to the detail. Glowing eyes, tall, gray, lanky, long arms, long fingers, the works. He said he saw the exact same thing. And I don't know. That's just too big of a coincidence for me. So I don't know what it is. I have my theories, but very, very creepy, and it has me super unsettled right now because I literally have to take my dog out in the dark. But y'all let me know in the comments what you think this could be because this was so scary. But that concludes this episode of Tea After Midnight. If you have any personal scary stories you want to share with me, I would love to read them. You can email me at the email that's going to be in the caption, or it's going to be right up here. I have received a lot of emails and comments and DMs over the past couple days, so I promise you I will get back to you. Just give me a little bit of time, but please send in your stories. I love reading them and I love to share them. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful night. I love you, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Old Spanish saying that says, never accept gifts from people you do not know. All ties in with the story I'm going to tell you today. Marisol always found it very odd that her neighbor on the first floor always offered her gifts. She would offer her food, she would offer her cookies. She went as far as even offering her a teddy bear. Marisol always said, no, thank you, or that's sweet, but I'm really not going to use it, things like that. But the neighbor always insisted on Marisol taking the gift. Now, Marisol would tell her, I understand that you're trying to be nice and I don't want to be rude. However, I don't want to take your gift. I'm sorry. The neighbor had never caught Marisol outside, but on this particular night, Marisol was taking out the trash, and it just so happened that she was throwing the trash in the dumpster, and she turned around and her neighbor was right behind her. And her neighbor was telling her, hey, how are you? How you've been? I haven't seen you in a couple days. And Marisol just says, yeah, it's been, a couple days, but I've been working and I haven't gotten home early, so that's probably why you haven't seen me. The neighbor says to Marisol, hey, I know you don't like accepting gifts, which I don't understand why. I'm giving it to you wholeheartedly. I swear. Marisol says the way that the neighbor said she swore kind of didn't rub her the right way, but she kind of chuckled and was like, yeah, okay. I mean, I get it. You know what? Next time I will take a gift from you, okay? So that way we can say that you gave me a gift and I accepted it, okay? Now, why did Marisol say that? I don't know. Maybe peer pressure, maybe because she was probably against the dumpster while this neighbor's all up in her face. Who knows? Of course, the neighbor lit up like a candle and was like, finally, you're going to take something from me. And she's like, yeah, okay, well, I'll see you tomorrow. She walked around the neighbor and jetted to the freaking door. Also says it's like she was waiting to give her this gift. Like waiting to give her this gift, because literally the next day Marisol is walking in through the door after work and the neighbor opens the door and says, here's your gift. First Marisol's like, oh, okay, well, what is it? Marisol's thinking maybe it's gonna be food, maybe another teddy bear. She had no idea that her neighbor was gonna give her a mirror. Out of all things, why a mirror? Of course Marisol is like, a mirror? She's like, yeah. I've been wanting to get rid of this mirror and I didn't want to throw it away. And I thought maybe this would be the gift I give you. And maybe this opens the door for me to give you more gifts. And Marisol's like, wow, this is a really big mirror. It's almost my size. I really don't know where to put it. And of course, the neighbor's like, no. You said you would take it. And Marisol reluctantly takes the mirror. Now, Marisol says that she was walking up the stairs. The mirror that seemed to only be supposedly 5 pounds, and like if you visually see it, you would think it's only 5 pounds. She says the mirror weighed almost 20 pounds, which made no sense to her whatsoever. Marisol says that once she got to the front of her door, she opened the door to her house. And as she tries to get the mirror inside the house, it's like there was an invisible force field blocking her from taking the mirror inside of her house. that would have been red flag for me. But let's continue. Marcel tried to ignore it, so she left her mirror on the side of the door because it didn't match anything in her living room, so she wasn't going to hang it up there. And then she looked in her room and nothing matched the mirror in her room, so she was thinking about maybe putting it in the hallway and changing out the rug in the hallway. Goes through the whole routine of unwinding, eating dinner, and all of that. And finally, when she's almost off to bed, she decides to call her mom. And she tells her mom, "Hey mom, sorry I didn't call you. I was just unwinding. It's been a long day and I wanted to talk to you about something, but I want to talk to you about something." So last night, my neighbor kind of cornered me outside in a dumpster about how not seeing me and how I always refuse her gifts. So I kind of felt compelled to tell her I would take her next gift. And do you believe that the next day, which is today, she gives me a gift and it's a mirror? First, her mom is like, "You did what?" And she says, "Well, she gave me a mirror." And her mom went quiet. So apparently, down this whole rabbit hole, how it's bad luck to receive a mirror from someone because it transfers their bad luck to you, and how it traps your soul, and how it gives you sickness, and all types of weird stuff. And Marisol said, "Mom, relax. I highly doubt the lady downstairs is trying to give me bad luck, Mom." Mom then asks her, "Where's the mirror?" And she says, "The mirror is next to the front door." She says, "Okay, cool. I need you to do a prayer." And Marisol's like, "Mom, for real?" She's like, "I need you to do a prayer." And she was like, "Fine." She's like, "I want you to do this prayer out loud. I want you to stand in the doorway of your room and do a prayer of protection in your room." So Marisol says, fine. She begins to do the prayer with her mom out loud. So her voice was echoing through the house. Then her mom says, "Now I want you to take salt and put it on your door." And Marisol goes, "What? Do what?" She's like, "Put salt in front of your door in your room." Marisol says, "Mom, for real? Salt? What is salt gonna do?" She's like, "Put salt on your door." And she said, "Fine, I'll put salt on my door." Marisol's mom says, "I'm going to pray for you in additional to the prayer we just did tonight before I go to bed." And of course, Marisol says to her, "Mom, come on. Really? You're going to pray for me over a mirror?" She's like, "Yes, I'm going to pray for you over a mirror. I don't know how many times I have to tell you not to take gifts from strangers." And of course, Marisol hung up the phone with her mom and turned in for the night. Marisol says the next morning, she said that when she woke up, she kind of forgot about the salt for a second. And it wasn't until she walked almost crossing her doorway into the hallway that she noticed that the salt was moved. Like if someone was trying to get in to her room, and it trailed right back to the mirror. She freaked out. Marisol says, thank God that she only has a first floor in her apartment, because if this was a 2-floor place, she would have never realized the trail would have went back to the mirror. But she said that she had put a lot of salt down because that's what her mother told her to do. And the salt went right back into the mirror, like towards the mirror. In front of the mirror is where the salt stopped. Marisol said that she tossed that mirror into the trash can so fast that morning. She went outside in her PJs. She wasn't playing. Can you believe Marisol tells me that the neighbor never spoke to her again? What do you guys think that was? And what do you think the neighbor was trying to do? Like, was it bad luck? What was she trying to do? Like, I don't understand what was happening, but thank God for Marisol's mom. That's all I gotta say.
Let's do a story time, and typically this is not what our content is about, but I want to just start by saying if there's one video that you watch of ours, please let it be this one. We have a lot of moms and daughters and young girls following us, and if I don't share this story, then I'm not doing right by any of you. And to be honest, I really haven't even had time to digest any of this, but when I say my daughter was this close to being part of what I feel like was human trafficking, I can't even describe to you the feeling that I feel as a mom, because it happened right in front of my eyes. And you hear about these stories all the time. It's like they sound like just like horror, like true crime, just like stories that you would never ever think could happen to you. So last night we were actually in Indiana because we were visiting my family for the weekend for my birthday trip. It was our last night, and we decided to go to Nordstrom Rack. And this is the Nordstrom Rack. If you live in Indiana, it's the one on Keystone. And it was closing time. It was like around 7 o'clock. They were closing at 9. We decided to just stop and do last minute shopping before we leave for our trip. Ellie had my 4-year-old in the grocery cart, and then my 6-year-old was walking with her. I was doing some shopping within like 3 to 5 feet of her, and my husband was doing shopping in the men's section. So Ellie was with me in the women's section. I'd already like finished our shopping, so we were just kind of waiting on my husband to finish. I see this man walking by her. He doesn't realize that I'm her mom and that I'm with her. He's talking on his phone, and I'm watching him follow her. I'm watching. I'm not saying anything. I'm not talking to her because I want to see what he is doing. He looks to be an Indian man. He's talking on his cell phone. I'm going to post a picture of his face because it's going to show up on my platform, and I hope that you guys continue to share his face until we find out who he is. So he's on his phone, he's following my daughter, he's following my kids around, and I hear his conversation on the phone, and he says, "How long until you can get here?" And in that moment, I literally coaches my body. In that moment, I knew he was up to no good. My intuition kept true, and I kept listening. And again, he's eye contacting her, and they're really close to me, but he's still watching her. And he's on the phone, "How long until you can get here?" He says, "Do you want me to FaceTime you?" And he says, "Hurry, hurry." He walks right past me, and I'm watching his every move. He gets on the phone with somebody. He's FaceTiming. He's holding his phone like this. Ellie's right over here getting into the checkout line, and he comes up right in front of me, and when he goes to her, I can see his phone. He is FaceTiming, and he is following her, and he is showing the person on FaceTime her and my other 2 small children. In that moment, the mother bear inside me, when I tell you, I went up to him directly, and I spoke as loud as I could because I wanted everyone in that store to hear me. Again, my husband was on the other side of the store. I wanted the workers, anyone around me, there was another little family with a small child, to know he was up to no good. And I went up to him directly, and I said, "You better put your phone away. You better stop following my children around, and you better leave this store." He says to me, "It's my mom, it's my mom." I said, "It's not your mom. Stop following my children around. You've been following my children around this entire store. I know what you're doing, and you better leave the store immediately." Just to validate my mom intuition, he was actually at the store the same exact time the night before the closing shift, we're gonna call it, and he was there the same exact time. Did not buy one thing either of the nights. It was like his face was like a little child getting caught for stealing something. These men that do this and prey on young women and children are weak. They are weak. So when I was direct with him and called him out, his eyes, you could just see it, like he was caught. And he just kind of put his face down, and he was in dress clothes. He had like a green shirt on. You would never, he almost looked just like a smart, IT guy, really smart, and he looked like a businessman. He looked like a businessman, you guys. So as he walks away, he gives me one more turnaround. He turns around one more time, because again, he was really close to the exit because we were by the checkout line. He looks at me one more time, and I get close to him, and I have my phone out. It's not recording, but I'm gonna make him feel like it. And I get into his face, and I said, "Do you want me to record you? Do you want me to follow you around like you've been doing my children all night?" And then at that moment, he put his head down and he ran out that door. I immediately went and got my husband. They had security in the store. I told him I want to make a police report. He checked the footage. He said, "This guy looks suspicious." Yes, I agree. You should make a police report. My husband calls the police to the store. I make a police report because I'm not going to let this guy get away with it. So if you live in Indiana or the surrounding area, anywhere as a mom with young children, these men are preying on you. It is real. It does happen. The fact that it happened right in front of my eyes and I watched the entire thing go down, there's definitely more to this story. I could keep going on because when we left the store and I made the police report, there is a white Dodge Ram very back. What I believe was the guy he was on the phone with coming to pick up my daughter or my children. And that same guy went into the store right after, during my police report, as I'm standing outside, he goes into the store. He stays at that store until closing time. I will do a part 2 because I want to share with you what I found, where this guy was going. It's very disturbing. It's very real. And it's everything that you hear and see in these crazy human trafficking stories. It's absolutely terrifying. So I'm definitely going to share that with you. And I will say, when I made my police report, the police officer did not take me seriously. He made me feel like it was just another thing. Since he didn't do anything criminally wrong, there's really not much he can do. He said it's what he calls a 1096. When I asked what a 1096 is, he said basically it's people with a mental disorder, and that this is kind of normal. I knew as a mom this guy was not having a mental disorder. It was not a mental breakdown. He fully knew what he was doing. He went in with the full intention of finding a girl or children, and his intentions were not good. I cannot tell you 100% what his intentions were, but I can tell you from what I've heard and my mom intuition, and I'm telling you it was to take my child, my daughter, or my little boys with her. My biggest ask to you guys is that you hear the story, you listen to the story, you take this seriously, and whether it's Target or Walmart or anywhere you go with your children, just in general, it's so easy to be distracted. And I am a true crime mom junkie. Talk to Ellie, she will tell you, like, my mom will tell me every scenario, will give me ways to get out of situations. Like, I'm constantly like reminding her that this stuff happens. And so I just want you guys to be very aware, especially young girls. Ellie goes to the mall, you guys go to the mall, she's 15, it's very normal to go shopping. You guys are driving now. Your mom will tell you this. If you don't listen to her, please listen to me. Please listen to me. Because Ellie, of all girls who I've been teaching her entire life of this situation, she was very unaware of what was happening. She even told me the scariest part is that, you're right, Mom, he got so close to me once in the store that he actually bumped into me. And she was so unaware of the situation, you guys. So please listen to the story, share the story, young girls, moms, anyone with little kids, please, this is who I'm trying to reach. It is very serious, and I hope you guys share the story, and I'm going to be tagging IMPD, which is the Indianapolis Police Department, so they start taking this more seriously and they actually look into this.